sculpt outdoors and do painting at night indoors.
Now, this is an example of where I mix techniques deliberately. I've often been criticized because I use different techniques and different styles of painting, but actually I paint for the love of it and I enjoy it. So I intend to paint anything I feel, whether it could be a candy box scene or a very serious piece of abstract art. This particular thing is a whimsy that I like to do. I got the idea from Lewis Carroll, a Jabberwocky, and it's my own interpretation of somebody in the land of the Jabberwocky hunting the snark. And for example, a piece like this is what I could consider more or less a commercial piece that I'm used as a rough for one of the murals I'm going to do up on Motel Row soon. So it's would come under the category of a sketch. But my more serious work would be my palette knife that I consider that is my more serious line of work. And this particular thing is done in palette knife and stuck to one technique all the way through, very loose. And of course with a palette knife you try for the areas of color, no outline. It's a sort of an impressionistic style. But as whimsy now, for example, to use expression, I like to take different types of faces. I call this the devil woman. I guess you realize that you have, any artist has a great many variety of people come around the studio. And for a while I became concerned why I had so many psychiatrists coming around. I've always had friends in the medical profession, but I had a run on psychiatrists for a while here, and I think it was some group of paintings that I was doing like this. This particular thing, I've always had you might say acrophobia, except in water. Now water, I love open water, but when I'm in open land, I have a feeling of everything being open. So unconsciously, I often catch myself painting very open land, but then I'll color it up with things watching me, such as this eye. I always feel like something out there is watching me, and so I call it the mind. It's the other world of the mind is my title for the particular painting, but it sort of gives you an idea that the things that come out unconsciously. It has a Dali-esque quality, I'll admit. You'll notice that I'm working on some three-dimensional pieces. This is a combination of plaster and oil. It's combining my sculpture with my painting. And this has almost a Picasso-ish touch to it. You'll notice that in that is also a form of plaster and oil combination, but then I combine waxes, like this, for example. This particular thing, of course, is entirely different. It's not really my style. I experiment in them now and then just for the fun of it. And this is a combination of the Jackson Pollock drip system, including a whimsical background. It's dancers, it's very light, but it's decorative items like this. I do them just for the fun of it now and then. I don't take them too serious. Now, on this particular type of thing, this is also a texture painting, you'll notice. But my concept on this, of course, everyone interprets it different. Often people will do something like this and then they'll change their concept halfway through. And you often alter your theme as you go, but this theme happened to stay direct all the way through. I want to do something. I've always admired the way the real hot musicians do when the saints come marching in. But my concept of that goes a little deeper in my own mind. So I used an angel form through here in white, symbolizing the relationship of the saint. And I gave these different figures, you notice, with the horns out. And I don't know if you can pick this out or not, but I have many instruments and musical instruments worked in here. The color, of course, is important on this thing, this particular type of thing. Now, I'm almost finished with this one, and I'll show you when it's finished exactly how the thing works in. See, over the texture, you'll find that oil, by using a texture background, well, we'll take an area up in here where it's dark. You can take, and by the very light touch of a brush, you can give all sorts of strange effects. Then you can bring it in deeper, and you can make paint stand out and give almost a dimensional effect to it.
Do you use concrete for any of your larger sculptures?
I use concrete on all the large commercial things. Of course, I have additives and mixtures. I stole a lot of them from the concept of the concrete ships during the war. There's hardening agents that I can make concrete impervious to weather and last longer than practically any stone outside of maybe open grain granite.
Mm-hmm. Lou, there are several pieces here that I've noticed as I came up to talk to you today that I'd like to ask you about. Some of the more modern things, particularly that woman down there with the little boy, I guess.
Oh, a woman and child. That was a funny thing. I seldom leave the place.
Yeah.
And I was down the parking lot, and I saw this woman came out with a child, and they kept saying, "Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy?" And they had their hands up like that, as looking around. And they held this one position so long, looking for Daddy, and both of them had their hands up this way that I thought it was a touch of whimsy. I thought I'd put it into stone.
That's great. I like it. And it's sure modern. What's this fella here with the vines all over his head?
Oh, that was my Diogenes. I've always been a great admirer of Diogenes, searching for the honest man, because I'm still looking for him myself. And I originally built this and had a lantern sitting there, and the lantern was to show bright at night and reflect upon his face. Unfortunately, somebody ran off the lantern, but they left Diogenes. So I thought it was kind of odd, they would, very man searching for an honest man, somebody would steal a lantern out of his lap.
Well, I guess he still hasn't found the honest man, and he wouldn't recognize him if he did, no. Lou, you've got an awful lot of the primitive Polynesian things. That one and this head here.
Well, that head actually is the aku-aku form. That is an Easter Island form. And I do a great many types of your Polynesian and oceanic groups in general, Melanesian, Polynesian, Micronesian. But I'm very fond of Easter Island, the legends there, and I've often been accused of carving part of it because I use so many of the forms. In fact, if you notice several commercial buildings around town, large ones, right near your station, for example, there's one with the large ones there. That's the Loaku. And this is the aku-aku, the long ear type. And then I use this form both large and small. You'll see it frequently show up.
What about the commercial business for sculptors as opposed to the private commission?
Well, it's commercial. It's very good, except you have to work. You see, a lot of people, every time they do something, they attach too much of a price to it. Now, I attach a high price to my special modern work and things that I do that I'm very fond of. But commercial, you're combating a lot of competition. And you have to be able to really know construction because there's expansion take-up on these large statues. Now, you notice there's many places around town I've done these large commercial things, including Cran Park Children's Zoo. Those animals out there, the hippopotamus and the Penelope, the polka-dot cow that went to sea, that's mine. I enjoy doing those.
They're very cute. Of course, they're very commercial, too, and a long way from your modern.
Well, it has its purpose. I mean, you can be artistic with anything. Even if you're doing a child's toy, you can give it a certain touch of whimsy or art that a person that is familiar with art forms can see that beyond the commercialism of it. Sometimes you have to do commercial work a little too fast to put the real shapes and things in you'd like to for competitive form.
Lou, what do you think about the future for artists in Florida?
Oh, it's very great. Art in Miami just now is beginning to wake up. See, a lot of people are reluctant, and there were a lot of sour people down here that were downing everybody here. Everything had to come out of New York or Paris. But right now, you're getting some very fine artists down here, and some of my local boys working hard at it and doing good. And they're not getting the recognition they want because people down here are always, a prophet never gains recognition in his own territory. He always has to go somewhere else.
That's right.
Now, a couple of them have done that. They've left Miami and they've gone to New York, they get a name, and they come back here, and people will accept them. But a lot of people don't realize that Florida is an ideal place for artists. You have the weather, you have every condition down here that's advantageous to the working. You have the scenic beauty, and modern art can be done anywhere, at studio work. So living is fine down here, and I think this will be one of the great art centers of the world. In fact, it's already beginning to move in that direction now.
Well, I'm glad there are a lot of artists in Florida. I know there are many around Miami that I've seen myself, but I think of all of them, I like Dercar the best. You're certainly one of the most successful, and you can't argue with success.
Well, I enjoy my work, and I consider that a real compliment. May I shake your hand on that?
Thank you very much, Lou. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.
This is Max Moore at Lou Dercar's studio in Miami.
This is a poem I wrote in Miami just before I came up here, and I call it The Search. Shadows lighten like stretching time, the sun sinks low in the empty sky. The street is long and lonely, and my footsteps echo back like an old worn-out clock that ticks from habit rather than use. Am I half mad that I search for her? Search for one that I've never seen, for one that I have no proof exists in this life? Yet she must exist.
Leaves dropped one by one, autumn leaves. Made more red by the low reflected sun, like drops of blood from a dying tree, a drop of earth that seems to walk with them. They would decay. And they're divorced from Lynn, but I can feel it all like this thus. Separated for a fleeting moment in the yawn of time, and it returns again to be the earth, the rocks, the river, yes, even the wind. What more freedom could it be than the original state of things? I wondered. My thoughts went back to her. Where did we err? Hundreds, perhaps thousands of times I'd watched her change. Changed from the powdered Helen, more concerned with a bit of her togas in the Greek army. I knew as a girl in the streets in the slums of Paris. There was a lady who was courts, but regardless of the name, was always my love. I would know her in any guise once their eyes met. This world of time had slipped away, and the dim past would flash to brightness, filling our minds with the overwhelming joy of our first love. I stopped, and the echo of my feet died, and darkness had taken the cities, and lights started the buildings, people prepared for the night. I was filled with loneliness. My thoughts went back to the beginning, to the very beginning, to the creation. There was nothing. Blackness without the thought of light. Space without time, without direction. And in this nothingness came a thought, created by itself, and in turn came other thoughts, created by the first and by the second, and all these thoughts were one. And this one, it became aware. Now this awareness was a creator and the created, for whatever it thought was. Then came the thought of substance. And this thought was a song of light, a melody of space and time. At first an atom of light, an atom neither large nor small, for it was the only substance, and there was nothing which to compare. But this atom split. It burst into a billion specks, and the dark space became a glow of stars, and a thought of beauty in it. And the sight was beautiful to behold. The awareness was pleased, and the stars were pleased, because they were one and the same. But a new thought came into being. Why not give substance to the awareness, so that it might more thoroughly experience itself, and was thus so? There was a world, and this world swung about the star of the sun, so that all of creation could be surveyed from it. And it turned, so that part of the time it could be in the light of the sun, and the other half of the time view the magnificent ball of space. Thus we came into existence. I came first unknown. It was night, and I stood on the beach of a lifeless world. A world without trees or plants, without the chirp of insects or the splash of fish. It was a void world, covered by shapeless rock, sand, and still water, and even the stars appeared to be cold, baleful orbs. I looked about and wondered, aware of my body, and I knew that I differed from the motionless things about me. Thus I exist, I was alive, proposed by all things that exist in all thought, but separated from all things, as a dream is separated from a dreamer.